as an elderly New Ager, I have been working in sort of in this area, which you have coalesced wonderfully. And I've been reading Seth since Seth came out. And I've had at least a half a dozen wonderful spiritual teachers.
Yes.
And I can interject again how you have coagulated so much of this. But there is a thing I'm thinking about that you know that I have found with your works and how you expressly want us to work with this vibratory feeling and create specifically that perhaps in a sense I have created a belief in higher vibration. And I find in working with my valve, because of your information, that when I go through the day and I say, hey man, that closes your valve down, and you closed your valve down on that and something else, and yet when I'm out in a meditative state, and I don't even really need to meditate, I can go into it in a few minutes and get that bliss and so forth. But I still find that I do this valve closing a lot more, thanks to you, I guess, than...
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, you guys are merciless, really.
Well, what's happened to you is you are becoming more sensitive to your vibration. When you deliberately raise your vibration and attune to that higher vibration, then you are more aware when you dip from it. Mm-hmm. And the advantage of that is you're in a higher vibration more of the time, so you're in the place of allowing the well-being more of the time, but what seems like a disadvantage is that you are more severely aware when you take a dip. It's like heightening the sensitivity of your awareness of where you are vibrating. That's what focusing energy is about. In other words, if you take a broad spectrum of light and narrow it into a very focused laser beam of light, it is more powerful. It is also more important that you pay attention to what you're doing with it. And it's sort of the same idea of this. In other words, when you become a deliberate creator and you access through the power of your focused awareness the energy that creates worlds, and you are flowing with that stream, you're having a glorious experience. But when you are bucking the current of that faster moving stream, you feel it more. The best description we've given of this is if you are driving your car 100 miles an hour and you hit a tree, it's a bigger problem than if you are driving your car 5 miles an hour and you hit a tree. So we're talking about two factors. We're talking about aligning with the energy of source, which is what the power of your desire does. That's what step 1 is about. And then allowing the energy that you've summoned to flow in a non-resisted way. That's the art of allowing. That's what step 3 is about. And you are right. It is a constant dance. In other words, it's something that you must focus into being. So what you're talking about really speaks to where we began here today, as we were talking about how you have these beliefs that are within you that you may not even know are there. And the reason that you are not really aware that they are there is because you've practiced them so much that they feel and seem perfectly normal to you until something challenges them, like your own desire. Let's say that you were born into an environment that was very frugal in nature. Your parents did not have much ability to create financial abundance and took pride in the way they were able to construct their lives without it. In fact, you lived a good life. You always ate well. You had a comfortable place to be. But your parents, in whatever had happened in their experience before, were sort of justifying the sparse nature of their life experience by condemning others who were spending what seemed frivolously. And so they, in their constant awareness of people overspending or wasting, and in their attention to frugality, helped you to develop the same sense of that. Mm-hmm. And so, while we are not for a moment suggesting that any of that is right or wrong, these are the thoughts that you picked up along your physical trail and practiced. And so, now let's say that you move through time and you are a really fun-loving person, and you are very quick-witted and entertaining, and while there are many aspects of you, you love life, you love nature, you love humor, you are a good dancer, you have all of these aspects about you, and you are really frugal and sort of ornery about money. All of this is sort of mixed up in the personality of who you are. So now you're out moving about and you meet someone with whom you resonate on many points. She's fun-loving, she likes to dance, she loves life, she loves nature. In other words, you line up on almost every point, and she loves spending money. So now you're mostly a vibrational match, and there are so many reasons to be together, and you feel better when you are together than when you're not together, and so you develop this relationship together, but you've got this thing that's sort of stuck in your craw, and it just feels wrong the way she spends money. It just feels wrong. And she describes you as a real lovely person, but you're just a tightwad beyond description. She just cannot figure out. And so here you have this relationship that is mostly good. And so the point that we're making here is that something happened in your experience. People are saying, how does something get activated within me? Why does it become an issue? How did this even get activated? And we said, it was always activated, as were other things. And as the specifics of your relationship really brought it alive, now it can really be a big issue for you. In other words, it might be a deal breaker. It might make the difference between whether you actually come together or not. And so then you say, well, who's right on this? This is the way I've always been taught. And she would say, well, this is the way I've always been raised. And she says, there is no shortage. Abraham says there's no shortage. And the other says, well, there's plenty of shortage. Look at all of these people that are starving and doing without. There's no right or wrong in what you have decided, but anything that is causing you negative emotion means that there is discord within your vibration. And discord within your vibration puts you in a place of not allowing the well-being that would be there otherwise. In other words, you can get out of sync on one issue, and if it's something that comes up often, like money does, or physical health, or something like that does, then what happens is you can use one little nitpicking, insignificant issue, and you can keep it so active in your vibration that you become a disallower of the well-being on many other subjects that would be there otherwise. And so what we are teaching is, rather than trying to find the rightness or wrongness in anything, because heaven knows, as we've already talked about here today, there are endless laws and rules that people are violating all over the place with what they consider to be ample justification. And we would never quibble with anyone's desire or right to do anything that they please. In other words, law of attraction is the sorter of all of that out. It is not something that needs to be an issue to any of you. But if something is activated within you that does not feel good, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would do anything and everything that we could think of to bring ourselves into the place of resolution or resolve about it, because that discord is detrimental to your art of allowing the well-being that would be there otherwise. Mm-hmm. There are so many people that want to make the law the rule, or the subject. In other words, is that right or is it wrong? And we say, there's nothing like that. That's like saying, the firemen came, my house was on fire, they broke out my windows and sprayed the water in, and that was a really good thing. But if those firemen come on a day that there is no fire and break out your windows and spray water in your house, it's not a good thing, even though it's the same thing. And you say, well, there are different reasons for things, Abraham. You have to be reasonable about it. And we say, and as you tangle around in all of your reasons that you justify, you just get further and further from allowing the well-being that is natural to you. It does not have to be a complicated thing. So did we lay any sense of basis? Did we
Perfection.
Did we get there for you?
You got to. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
You commented one day on dreams, talking about dreams, and the feeling tone of your dreams was the critical aspect when you woke up in the morning.
Can give you a lot of information. When you awaken from a dream, you have a lot of information that you might not have been aware of before the dream.
In years past, I studied my dreams. I did a lot of work with them, and I could name, upon waking, recall 5 different dreams, and most of them seemed nonsensical. But just generally in tone, and when I wake these days from dreams, either they're bad dreams or they're uncomfortable dreams or they're not uplifting.
Here's what happens. As you go to bed agitated about something that you've read or experienced, when you wake up in the morning, that vibration is in your range. And so it's logical that you would sort of pick up where you left off. And anything from your dream state then is interpreted through that vibration. And so it sort of gets that edge to it. As you put yourself into your bed at night, make the statement, I know that I will dream. And I would like to recall anything that is beneficial from my dream. So now you have set the tone for the benefit from your dream. And when you awaken, that's the vibration that will be most active within you relative to the subject. And then if you will ask yourself, did I dream? And if you recall something, it will be right then. That's usually when it comes forth. Sometimes later in the day, something will happen that will remind you of your dream. But most often it is when you first wake up that you are most likely to recall the content of your dream. And if you will stop and ask yourself, how did I feel in my dream? That is the most telling information, because if you felt agitated or aggravated or vulnerable or lost or worried about something, then your dream is saying to you, while this is not your dominant vibration all of the time, at this juncture in your life experience, there is enough of that vibration going on that it is now beginning to manifest in dreamscape, which means there's a significant amount of it. You're chewing on something. Now, if you've been doing these virtual realities that we've been talking about here today, and you've played with them for even 3 or 4 days, and you have found yourself feeling pretty good in those virtual realities, we promise you sweet dreams.
Good.
In other words, just 2 or 3 days of directing your vibration is going to change the vibration of your being, unless you've got some significant thing that's hanging over you that's really taking a lot of your attention, and that is not the case here. You see. So, what I think and what I feel and what manifests in my experience are always a vibrational match. And what I think and what I feel and what manifests in my dream state is also a vibrational match. And these dreams come especially to someone like you who wants so much to know what you're doing, who wants to be a deliberate creator. In other words, you're asking for information. Your dreams are full of information. The specific content of the dream can be telling, but it is not nearly as important as the way you feel within the dream. And we want to remind you, there are only 2 emotions. One feels good and one feels bad. If it feels good, then your dream is telling you you're pretty well connected, all is well, not much to work on. If your dream felt uncomfortable in some way, then your dream is saying to you, you got some issues that you've got activated for whatever reason, and they're playing a big enough role in your vibration that they're starting to manifest in dream. Might want to tend to them. Up to you.
Good. Thank you.
Let us offer one more little piece that will help you. Do you ever say to someone, or did you ever, when you tucked them into bed, sweet dreams? Ooh, do you feel the power of that? You are wishing them happy vibration that allows the well-being that is natural. And so we would say, in the same way that your quest for a good life is sort of a standing order, that your request for sweet dreams is too. It's like saying, I want so much to have good feeling experiences that I'm going to practice thoughts that feel good. Now, one last thing we have to give to you. This is so important. Your life is now. Your life is now. Your life is now. Your life is now. The way you're feeling is now. In other words, later you may win the lottery and that'll be fun. And later you may have a fantastic adventure somewhere and that will be fun. And all of that stuff will happen later. But your life is right now. And so as you're thinking about something fantastic that's going to happen later, you're living it now. You're having the vibrational response to the expectation now. So as you're remembering something that happened, you're living it now because you're having the vibrational response to it now. So whether you are addressing the past or perusing the present or imagining or anticipating the future, you're doing it all now. And the thing that most people don't realize that they have control about is as you sift through past, present, future, looking for things that feel good now, future's going to be really good. But more importantly, now's good. We want to say, never mind what's coming, it's coming. How are you doing now? And you say, I'm doing rotten now, but it'll get better. And we say, no, it won't.
Yeah.
It can't get better if now is rotten. Now has to be better for it to get better. And you have control about that, you see.